Hello everyone, it's Chris out and about, going for a wee walk at the minute, training for the kilt walk in April. And I thought what I'd do is tell you just a wee bit about how I've been learning Gaelic over the last God knows how many years, and why I'm learning Gaelic, and why I'm trying to raise money for An Lòchran up in Glasgow through the kilt walk. So I actually started learning Gaelic about 30 years ago, and it was because I made a mistake. I was in the Bristol Irish Society, and you can probably tell from my accent that I come from Northern Ireland. So I joined the society to learn Irish. And one day I was in the shopping centre in Broadmead in Bristol and bought a CD that I thought was in Irish and took it home, started listening to it and thinking it's brilliant, but I don't quite understand what's going on here. And all the words are written a wee bit differently, the accents are going the wrong way. And that was my first discovery of Scottish Gaelic. I'd never heard of it living back in Northern Ireland. Everything was Irish or English or whatever. And the arguments between the two. So I took an interest in Scottish Gaelic at that point, and this is before I started researching my family history and realising that I'm as Scottish as anyone here. I've got, Ancestry has me down at something like 88% Scottish blood. But anyway, I started learning Gaelic, and I was in Bristol. There was a wee group that I used to meet with every week, led by a guy called Dr. An Lòchran, who was a German lad, absolutely brilliant person, and myself and himself and 2 or 3 other people used to meet every week and try and learn Gaelic. And then we'd go down to the Highlands and Islands Society in London, enjoy the Céilís and all the crack, we'd go to Cardiff and all of that. So it ended up that I moved to Scotland in 1997, and the first job that I actually had working in Scotland was for the Gaelic department at the BBC. I'd worked for the BBC in Bristol, and I'd been in touch with a lady called Margaret Mary Murray, who's now the head of the department or head of the whole BBC Alba thing up in the BBC. But she gave me a job on Yorpa, where I worked for 3 months, and that was brilliant. Got to meet lots of good folk. Most of them had the surname MacLeod, right enough. And then after that, I went to STV and worked for Rhoda MacDonald for 3 years, who used to present Speaking Our Language. And so I sort of kept up my interest in Gaelic while I was in Scotland, but eventually left the whole TV industry in 2006. Now, after that, my kind of participation in learning Gaelic dwindled because I was living about an hour away from Glasgow, in Largs in Ayrshire, and there was no one locally I could talk to. So it ended up that for a few years I did nothing. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit in about 2000 that I decided this is ridiculous. I spent a good few years trying to learn it, and I'm beginning to forget a lot of stuff, so I thought I'd have a go again at that point. Now, that was the exact point to have a go again at, because at that point we were all locked away, bored out of our brains, and Zoom had suddenly hit the floor running, so we could talk to people from the comfort of our homes, including people I discovered who were learning Gaelic and all this kind of stuff. Duolingo launched its app. So Duolingo launched its app, and I did the Duolingo Gaelic course. At the bottom end of that, I then decided to do the Gaelic Higher through a thing called eSchool, which was free and available online. So I did that. Now I'm doing the advanced higher, so it's all great stuff, and my fluency, I'm still a bit of a learner, but I'm beginning to become more and more fluent, and I meet folk every week up in Blantyre to try and practice the language, and I also go to An Lòchran. So what's An Lòchran? Well, An Lòchran was actually set up about 20 years ago, and it's actually a Gaelic arts centre that's based in Partick, and I didn't realise it had been going as long as that, but about a year ago I started going to monthly meetings that were held at An Lòchran, which were organised by a lad called Andy Beck. And Andy's a great lad from the south of England, a musician, all this kind of stuff, and who's teaching us all how to speak Gaelic, or to encourage us all to speak Gaelic together. And he also runs other sessions at places like Tramways in Glasgow as well. So we have a good sort of occasional meet every couple of weeks to try and do this. But An Lòchran is the centre where we tend to have kind of 3-hour sessions once a month, but also during the week there are drop-in sessions that are run, which I can't get to because I work during the week, where people can come along, practice their Gaelic. There's a hot desking situation on a Friday, I think they have as well, where you can come along, do a bit of work and talk to each other in Gaelic and stuff like that as well. So because I've recognised how brilliant An Lòchran is, that's why I'm doing my wee bit through the kilt walk that's coming up in April. So I'm trying to raise money along with other people from An Lòchran. It's organised by a wonderful lady called Ilsa Allam, and there's the wonderful Mary Rose Nikasic who's also doing the walk, and we're hoping for others to come along too. So please do sponsor us to try and raise money for this centre. It's an absolutely invaluable resource for Gaelic learners, and it's good crack as well. So hopefully you'll sponsor us and help the sort of next generation of learners that are coming along to have somewhere to go along and have a chat. But also, if you want to get involved in the Kilt Walk, visit the Kilt Walk for An Lòchran page as well on Facebook, and you'll find details there. So thanks very much. Now, at the minute, I feel a wee bit like E.T. I'm kind of lost alone and 3 miles away from home. So I need to walk back. So thanks very much for your time, and I'll speak to you again soon.